I'm pregnant. The familiar voice rang in my ears, and I looked up. The clock on the wall was frozen at 8 in the evening. I glanced at my phone to confirm the time and realized I had been reborn back to the very moment my wife told me she was expecting. In my last life, those words were immediately followed by a divorce settlement. She told me the child belonged to Julian Vance. Caleb, let's get a divorce. The baby is Julian's. Here's the agreement. Look over the asset division. If you have nothing to add, just sign it. Or if you want alimony, you can ask for it. Today was our 5th anniversary. We were supposed to be celebrating at home. I hadn't even finished my dinner when she dropped the bomb. In my previous life, I had begged her not to leave. She told me Julian was her true love, and since she was carrying his child, the marriage had to end. I couldn't accept it. I'd said, "Have you forgotten your vows? You said your career was everything, that a baby would only get in the way." My words had incensed her. She snatched a heavy ceramic bowl from the table and smashed it against my head. It shattered across the floor, and I collapsed, my vision spinning. My head struck the jagged shards. One piece pierced deep into the base of my skull, and the world began to turn red. "You just don't listen, do you?" she had spat before walking out the door. She had only known Julian for a few months, yet he was her true love. What did that make me? What were our 5 years together worth? My life ended at 30, just 5 days before my birthday. It was a release, in a way. No more betrayal, no more endless cycles of arguing and trying to fix the unfixable. We had loved each other so fiercely once, fighting through every obstacle to be together. I never thought she would be the one to end me on such a meaningful day. I took the divorce papers from her hand again. The house was a premarital purchase of mine. I don't want Mayfield Global, but I want 60% of the equity. Pay me the cash equivalent at market value. Our personal savings remain separate, and you'll pay me a $300 million settlement. She had cheated during the marriage. I could have fought to leave her with nothing. Perhaps it was a lingering shred of old affection, or perhaps I just wanted her out of my life as quickly as possible. She looked at me in shock. She had expected rage, shouting, maybe even a physical confrontation. She was prepared for a fight, not this eerie calm. "You're agreeing?" "Yes. Once the money hits my account, I'll hand over the signed papers." My voice remained steady, as if I were handling a mundane business transaction for someone else. Megan Long knit her brows, her eyes narrowing into slits. "You better be serious. Don't try any playing hard to get or psychological games. I won't fall for it. If you try to screw me over, I'll make you wish you were dead." I didn't bother looking at her. "I know. Just make the transfer as soon as possible. And for the record, the divorce is my decision. Don't go looking for trouble with Julian. This has nothing to do with him." Even now, she was protecting him. If I really wanted to destroy him, her protection wouldn't mean a thing. 5 years of marriage, and it ended with her cheating and leaving me to die on a floor covered in broken glass while she walked away without a backward glance. Fate had given me a second chance. Divorce? I was more eager for it than she was. I had no intention of letting her kill me again. "Stop talking and just send the damn money." I picked up a pen and signed my name with slow, deliberate precision. As I finished, I let out a long, heavy breath. It's finally over, I thought. Megan stood there, visibly confused, before stepping aside to make several calls to arrange the funds. "The money will be in your account within 3 days. This was my fault, Caleb. I hope you can understand. Maybe we can still be friends." I looked at her, disgusted by her audacity. "Get out and clear your things within 24 hours. When the money clears, come back for the papers. I'll cooperate with the legal filing." She gave me a long, searching look before turning to head upstairs. Megan was a girl who had grown up in the foster system. Before she met me, life hadn't been kind to her. She lived in a cramped apartment and spent her life on public transit. When I first met her, I felt sorry for her and helped her out. Eventually, I was drawn to her resilience and optimism. After we got together, I treated her like a queen, terrified that even a slight breeze might hurt her. My family had been wonderful to her, too. At their first meeting, my parents gave her a massive cash gift, and my grandmother had even placed a family heirloom, a jade necklace, around her neck. I gave her all my love and all my patience. She had vowed to love me forever, promised we would be the only ones for each other. Her vows were so numerous, I couldn't even remember them all. I suppose the more grand the vows, the uglier the ending. In our second year together, her biological parents found her. She wanted to stay with them for 2 months, but came running back, sobbing into my arms. I spent hours comforting her. She told me she had an older sister, a younger sister, and a younger brother. It was a cliché, outdated tragedy. Her parents had desperately wanted a son, and had abandoned her at a state facility because of local family planning policies and poverty. Back at her biological home, she was an outcast among her siblings. Her parents favored the other three. She couldn't take it and came back to me. After that experience, she became obsessed with success, driven to prove to her family that discarding her was their greatest mistake. With my family's backing, we started a business together. To protect her fragile ego, I only took 40% of the shares and let her be the CEO. Back then, my logic was simple. We were getting married, so what did it matter who owned what? Experience has since proven that cash in hand is the only thing that matters. I dial my mother. Mom, Megan and I are getting a divorce. My father's voice chimed in from the background. It's okay, son. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Don't be sad. Why don't you come home for a while or take a trip to clear your head? I was a 30-year-old man, but I broke down into tears instantly. When your parents are there, you still have a home. In front of them, I could still be a child. In the years I was with Megan, I had contacted them less and cared for them even less. I felt like such a failure. To waste my life on a woman like her, I slapped myself hard across the face. I am okay, Dad. I just miss home. I took a few deep breaths, trying to calm down. I didn't want to burden them with my negativity. Son, your birthday is in a few days. Why don't you come back? We'll celebrate together. Okay, Mom. We talked a bit longer, and I felt much better. I hung up and booked a train ticket online. Once the money cleared, I was leaving this place behind. I looked at the ticket and then picked up an envelope from the coffee table. I had originally booked flights to Europe for 3 days from now. I had planned to take her to see the Northern Lights, go shopping in Milan, and catch a game of our favorite team, Inter Milan, the match we both loved. I didn't need those anymore. I slowly shredded the tickets and the envelope and tossed them into the trash. Absently, I rubbed the back of my head. I had a phantom sensation of pain there. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the hospital. After a battery of tests, the doctor told me I was perfectly healthy. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed the physical injuries of my past life hadn't followed me, but the mental trauma was very much present. I told the doctor I'd had recurring nightmares about a head injury. He suggested it was psychological and refer me to therapy. The therapist was a young, sharp woman. Talking to her felt surprisingly comfortable. She scheduled me for a follow-up. When I got home and opened the door, I heard shouting from upstairs. I moved quietly to the sofa and listened. Smash! Something broke. Then, a man's voice. Why the hell are you giving him 60% and a house? And 300 million? That's insane. You built this company with your own sweat. The company doesn't have that much liquid cash. If you send in that money, our cash flow is dead. Half our projects will stall. Have you thought about that? Then Megan's voice. So what? I'll figure out the funding. You need to understand why I'm doing this. It's so I can be with you. Do you want our child to grow up calling him dad? The tension was thick. I shuddered at the thought. Me, a stepdad to a cheater's kid? I'm not infertile. Why the hell would I raise some interloper's son? I'm not spending my life building wealth for someone else's brat. Then I heard Megan say, if you don't agree, then I'll get an abortion and forget the divorce. I'll just stay with Caleb and make it work. That sent the guy into a panic. He'd worked hard to climb into her bed and secure his future. He wasn't about to let it slip away. I imagine he's holding her now, whispering sweet nothings to calm her down. I couldn't hear anything, so I let my imagination fill in the gaps. I'm agreeing to his terms because I want to be with you, Megan said. I'm the one who cheated. If this goes to court, I could lose everything. Caleb is actually being reasonable. If we push him too hard and he gets a real lawyer, I'll walk away with zero. Are you going to support me and the baby then? Silence followed for a long time. I lost interest. I just wanted them gone. A few minutes later, Julie and Vance helped Megan down the stairs. They froze when they saw me sitting on the sofa. It was an awkward scene. They didn't know how much of their conversation I had overheard. I glanced up at them. Done packing? When are you moving out? Megan's eyes flickered with a brief moment of guilt before she let go of Julian's arm. Then, her gaze turned sharp and cold. I knew that look. In the past, it always preceded something terrible. You're that eager to see me leave this house? Well, did you plan on staying through Christmas? Crash. Megan grabbed a vase and smashed it against my head. Blood didn't hesitate. It sprayed across my forehead and quickly masked my face. You really can't wait, can you? Thud. This time, Julian threw something too. My head took the hit again. Damn, these vases are high quality, I thought vaguely. Should have bought the cheap ones. Why is it getting dark? I whispered. I slumped back onto the sofa, the world spinning until I lost consciousness entirely. The next day, I woke up to the sterile scent of a hospital. I was alive. There was a pulsing, rhythmic pain around the gash on my head. I reached up to touch it. God, that hurts. A tall, slender nurse walked in with a tray. How am I doing, nurse? Better, now that you're awake. You have a concussion. We had to give you 30 stitches. You're lucky. Any lower and your eyes might have been a different story. Where are the people who brought me in? Oh, you mean the CEO and her friend? They dropped you at the ER and left. I think they mentioned something about a prenatal checkup, but I didn't catch it all. Damn them. I cursed under my breath. They just dumped me in a lobby? Then how'd I get to bed? Our staff, obviously. We aren't going to let someone bleed out in the lobby just because their family is trash. Oh, gentle, please. That hurts. The nurse pulled the inner gauze away from the wound, and the sting was sharp. She rolled her eyes at me. A big guy like you is afraid of a little pain. I'm human, aren't I? Once the dressing was changed, she turned back at the door. You might want to settle your bill or call someone to do it for you. Those two were something else. They leave me in a lobby and don't even pay the deposit. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out to see a message from Julian. You're hard to kill, I'll give you that. But your luck won't last forever. Mayfield Global is mine. Megan is mine. Your family's money will be mine. Remember that. If you're smart, you'll walk away from the assets and disappear. Otherwise, I won't be so gentle next time. He also sent a flurry of photos, them in bed, them kissing, and even a copy of the prenatal report. The man was an idiot. He was handing me evidence. I saved every single one. If Megan tried any legal stunts, these would be my weapons. Since they were so bored, I decided to give them something to do. Hello. I'd like to report an assault. My wife and her lover tried to kill me to seize my assets. Yes, I'm at General Hospital. The police arrived quickly. I handed over the evidence, the photos, the home security footage from the night before, and Julian's threatening texts. Half an hour after the police left, Megan kicked open my hospital room door. She was livid. You told the police we tried to kill you? That we're stealing your money. I looked at her. Aren't you? I pointed to the bandage on my head. Blunt force trauma, 30 stitches, and then you dumped me in an ER lobby. If the doctors hadn't stepped in, I'd be dead. And your lover admitted it. Didn't he tell you? He sent me a text threatening my life. Megan finally seemed to notice my head was shaved and wrapped in thick gauze like a turban. It was a ridiculous look, and even I found it slightly funny in a grim way. I'll apologize for him, but he's the one who carried you into the hospital. I cut her off, and I was calm. My emotions no longer fluctuated because of them. I felt a strange sense of detachment, as if I were watching a bad movie. Looking at them felt like an insult to my eyes. Megan, are you stupid or just blind? You two nearly killed me. Taking me to a hospital is the bare minimum. Honestly, you probably would have left me to die at home if you weren't cowards. Don't act like you're the hero here. Her face flushed deep red. The attackers have the balls to walk into the victim's room and play the victim. It's hilarious. You should be explaining yourselves to the cops, not telling me jokes. I'm not in a laughing mood. Tears began to stream down her face. Crocodile tears, I muttered. I'll give you another 10 million, she said, throwing a folder onto my bed. Just tell the police it was an accident, that you fell. The baby can't grow up with a father in prison. I didn't even look at the folder. 10 million is more than enough for a few stitches, she continued. Think about it. A few days in a bed for 10 million? You should be happy. The baby isn't mine. Why do I care about his father? I have my own father to think about. They nearly took my life, and they think 10 million settles the debt? I wasn't some saintly martyr. Besides, this wasn't the first time. Julian had accidentally put mango in Megan's birthday cake once, knowing I was severely allergic. I spent a week in the ICU. Another time, he accidentally tripped me into the lake. They wanted me dead. If I let this go, I'd never know peace. In my last life, I gave all my kindness to Megan and forgot to build a shield for myself. I wasn't making that mistake again. I'm not a martyr, Megan. My tolerance only makes you more dangerous. What would you choose if you were me? You love him? That's your business. Your kid has nothing to do with me. Now leave. Get out of my house. Tomorrow is the deadline for the money. Since the love was dead, let's just move the money and go our separate ways. Julian, that gold digger, was so obsessed with the scraps of my wealth even after I stepped aside. Megan left, defeated. Once she was gone, I called Serena Sterling. She picked up on the second ring. Caleb, what does the prodigal son want with me? Serena was a powerhouse, cold, brilliant, and untouchable. But with me, she always had a playful, teasing edge. We grew up as neighbors. When we were kids, we played house, and she insisted she'd marry me one day. Our families used to joke about it constantly until I fell for Megan. After the wedding, Megan's jealousy meant I had to cut ties with Serena. Serena had a deep family background and was a shark in the business world. She had once told me, Megan isn't the one for you. I had fought with her over it, defending my wife. She was right. I was the blind one. I'm getting a divorce. There was a long silence on the other end. Then, Serena's voice came back, urgent. What happened? Did she screw you over? She cheated. She's pregnant with the other guy's kid. I felt like crying. I couldn't tell my parents this yet, but I could tell Serena. It felt like we were kids again, sharing secrets. How do you want to play this? She asked. She knew me better than anyone. If the money isn't in my account by tomorrow, I'm taking my 60% equity. If you're interested, I'll sell it to you. If she refuses to give me the cash or the shares, I'll sue for everything. I'd rather not. It's slow, but I'll do it. Serena's melodic laugh rang through the phone. We talked for a long time. I was in the hospital for a week. Megan never came back, and I didn't remind her about the money. I was prepared for a war. After I was discharged, I went home to pack the last of my things and listed the house for sale. I instructed my lawyer to handle all my assets and draw up a will. Having died once, I knew exactly how dangerous those two lunatics could be. Once the divorce and asset division were handled, I planned to leave Chicago and head back to my hometown. My trunk was full of gifts for my parents. I pulled the car out of the garage and onto the main road. Suddenly, a roar of an engine echoed through the street. A Ford Raptor sped toward me, its high-intensity LED light bar blinding me. Crash! The airbags exploded. My car was sent airborne, flipping several times before slamming into the pavement. The impact was violent. I was coughing up blood, pinned upside down in the wreckage, my life fading. It's you. I managed to wheeze. Yeah, it's me, Julian Vance said, crouching outside the shattered window with a triumphant smirk. Just die already. Once you're gone, Megan is mine, and the money is mine. You should have just walked away clean. Why did you have to ask for so much? Cough. This is murder. Haha, so what? It'll look like a tragic accident. Megan will sign a waiver, and I'll be fine. You were in my way, Caleb. Who else was going to die? I'm feeling so good today. He actually started whistling as he walked away. I was filled with a burning rage. In my last life, I died at Megan's hand. Was I really going to die at Julian's in this one? I couldn't accept it. My vengeance wasn't complete. I felt my eyes closing as darkness rushed in. The next day, I smelled the hospital again. I opened my eyes to see a private room. God was on my side. I was alive. Megan and Julian, your time is coming. Caleb, you're awake. Megan was sitting by the bed, looking concerned. It made me sick. Her face was pale. She'd clearly been there all night. Don't play the saint, I rasped. You know exactly who did this. She looked away. I was leaving. I whispered, tears of frustration leaking out. I gave you what you wanted. Why couldn't you just let me go? Do you really need me dead to be happy? I am sorry. Sorry doesn't fix a murder attempt. You have everything now. Why can't you just let me live? Bring him in, she said to the door. The door opened. Julian walked in, followed by two men in suits. Megan. Julian was clearly intimidated by her. Without his cocky bravado, he looked like the small man he truly was. Slap. Megan struck him across the face. Apologize. Julian's eyes went wide. Megan, you want me to apologize to him? We're a family. Why are you doing this? You've been by his side all night. Isn't that enough? He was turning red, losing control. It was a pathetic performance. You've got my kid in your belly, and you're still obsessed with him? Are you ever going to let him go? You went too far, Megan said coldly. You almost killed him. That's a felony. Now apologize. She wasn't looking for a real apology. She was trying to mitigate the legal fallout for him. Julian wasn't smart enough to see that. I sat there in silence, watching them bicker. My head was throbbing. Julian huffed. Was it me who went too far? Caleb is the greedy one. He's held on to you for years and won't let go. You should have left with nothing. Mayfield Global is yours. He's stealing my money. The irony was staggering. Without me, Megan would still be a foster kid working a dead-end job. I'm not apologizing, Julian spat. Megan went quiet, perhaps out of lingering affection or weakness. I just looked at them. Done? Because I'm tired. Megan, I'm going to be very clear. I'm not a saint. My patience is gone. If you don't settle the money, I'll take the shares and sell them to the highest bidder. I'll burn your reputation to the ground. The cheating, the murder attempt, all of it. How will the Mayfield brand look then? I stared her down. I built 2/3 of that company. Julian thinks I'm a parasite. I'm the one who funded the startup. I'm the one who closed the deals while I was half drunk at corporate dinners. I gave you every chance to be civil, and you gave me a Ford Raptor to the face. Give me the money and let me go. And keep your dog on a leash. But for this, there has to be a price. Megan sat in silence for a moment, then dialed her phone. Bring them in. 2 bodyguards entered. Break his leg, Megan ordered, pointing at Julian. Megan, no, you can't do this. I love you. Crack. The bodyguards didn't hesitate. Julian's scream echoed down the hallway. Are you satisfied now? Megan asked, her voice trembling. I laughed, a dry, bitter sound. Satisfied? This is just interest, Megan. She left to check on Julian in the ER. I stayed in the hospital for another month. My lawyer informed me that my assets were liquidated, and we had the dashcam footage and the security tapes from the crash. I told him to hold on to them. They were my leverage. I called Serena. I told her I wanted to come stay near her for a while. But as I was getting into a taxi after being discharged, I was jumped. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was hanging upside down by my feet from a bridge. Below was a rushing river. Julian was standing right there. Megan arrived with a team of people carrying briefcases. It was a kidnapping setup. Let them go, Megan said, her voice icy, her eyes bloodshot. The leader of the kidnappers took the money. After checking the bills, he grinned. Your attitude is a bit much, CEO Long. This money only buys back one life. Choose. Megan looked like she was going to explode. I knew who she'd choose. It wasn't even a question. She looked at us, tears in her eyes, and then her fingers slowly, tremblingly, pointed toward Julian. The kidnappers pulled Julian up. The two of them embraced immediately. I let out a dry chuckle. Do it. Snip. The rope was cut. I hit the water with a massive splash. No. Megan screamed. But where was that energy a minute ago? The kidnappers vanished. I saw Megan's people diving in a look for me. I wanted to tell her that in this current, she'd be lucky to find a body, let alone a living man. As I sank, I thought goodbye. Forever. I had said I was hard to kill, but even I felt hopeless this time. In a high-rise office in London, Serena Sterling slammed her phone down. Find him. Get a team to that river now. She was shaking. She had been on the phone with me when I was snatched, and she had heard everything. Get the private jet ready. We're going back, she told her assistant. 3 days later, Megan was screaming at her search teams. How? How have you found nothing? Julian tried to comfort her. Megan, let go. He's dead. It's better this way. Now the company and the money are ours. Shut up. Megan snapped. If I find out you had anything to do with those kidnappers, I'll kill you myself. Julian recoiled, but Megan just broke down, sobbing. She was having nightmares, not of Julian, but of us. Walking through the park, holding hands, and then me slowly turning into glass and shattering. Is crying supposed to help? Serena Sterling walked through the door, her presence commanding and lethal. Megan, you are a monster. Caleb built you from nothing. You destroyed him for a piece of trash. Now he's gone, and you're putting on a show. Serena didn't hold back. She reminded Megan of the foster system, the cheap apartments, and everything I had done for her. CEO Long, a lawyer, stepped forward. Before his accident, Caleb Thorne left a will. In the event of his death or disappearance, all his equity in Mayfield Global and his remaining assets are to be transferred to Serena Sterling. Megan froze. That's impossible. It's very possible, the lawyer replied. He filmed a video and had the will officially notarized and filed with his attorney. There is a digital record on file at the notary office that you cannot contest. He knew you were trying to kill him. Serena looked at her with pure disgust. I have no time for you. My team is still searching the river. Cooperate with the lawyer, or I'll see you in court, or I'll trade your lover's life for Caleb's. Julian had thought killing me would give him my 43% stake. He was an idiot. Serena and I had planned for this. A year passed. Megan and Serena both spent fortunes on professional recovery teams. They found nothing. Megan lost the baby due to the stress. The corporate world was buzzing with the scandal. Mayfield Global's stock plummeted. Boss, everything is ready, said Finn Gallagher. A year ago, Finn and 4 other college friends were having a barbecue by the river when they pulled me out of the water. They saved my life. Since I was the oldest, they called me Big Brother. Once I recovered, I used my knowledge of the markets to lead them through a series of high-stakes trades. We made a fortune. We formed an investment firm, Apex Investments. In 1 year, we grew to a size that dwarfed Mayfield Global. I hadn't checked on Megan or Serena for a year. I had suffered temporary amnesia after the rescue, and by the time my memory returned, I had a new identity, Caleb Thorne. A pun on my old name, but with a sharper edge. We stood across the street from Mayfield Global. I remembered Megan's old vows. I'll love you forever, Caleb. What a joke. Big Brother. Aaron Lee is throwing a gala for his firm. He's inviting us. It's officially to welcome the new players in town. I nodded. It was time to give my old friends a surprise. Megan, I heard Aaron Lee is hosting a massive event for some big mystery investors, Julian said, pacing her office. He was a VP now, but he still acted like a child. If we can get them to invest, Mayfield can finally recover. Things were tense between them. A living person can never compete with a ghost. Megan hadn't married him. My death had frozen her. Serena was also going. She had been a thorn in their side for a year, using her majority stake to make their lives miserable. As long as it hurts Megan and Julian, I'm happy, she'd tell the board. The night of the gala, Finn and I arrived in tailored suits, our shoes polished to a mirror shine. Big brother, the whole city is here. Good. What if they recognize you? Are you Caleb Thorne or Caleb Miller? Who cares? I laughed. As we walked in, a familiar voice drifted over. Caleb. It was Megan. I didn't stop. I kept talking to Finn as if I hadn't heard a thing. Did I see things? Megan whispered. What are you muttering about? Let's go, Julian said, pulling her toward the elevator. The room was packed. People were hunting for connections. Finn and I sat in a quiet corner. Finn was a high-level trust fund kid, but he was also a third-generation political heavy hitter. People his age had to call him uncle because of his family standing. He stayed with me because he liked the action. Look, big brother. A total knockout just walked in. That's Serena Sterling, I said. And yes, she is. She's a goddess. I don't have enough words to describe her. Finn was starstruck. Easy, kid. That goddess is your future sister-in-law. I realized then that Serena was the only one who had ever truly been there for me. The gala began. Aaron Lee took the stage, giving the usual corporate speech. Then, please welcome the guests of honor, my brothers, Caleb Thorne and Finn Gallagher. We stood up and nodded. The room's attention snapped to our corner. Finn went up to speak. Coming back. Serena's voice was a whisper as she slid into the seat next to me. Serena, you look like an angel, as always. She rolled her eyes. Still a charmer. Too bad you didn't want me back then. I smiled and took her hand. I was an idiot. I'm not anymore. People around us gasped. The Ice Queen of Chicago was acting like a schoolgirl around a man they didn't recognize. I felt the eyes of the room on us. I tilted her chin up. Busy later? She turned bright red and practically dragged me out of the room. The crowd erupted in whispers. Megan had seen us. She had suspected it was me downstairs, but hearing the name Caleb Thorne made her doubt it. But seeing the way Serena acted, she knew. That was her Caleb. Megan, where are you going? Julian called out, but she was already at the door. The next morning, I was in Serena's apartment. You're a dog, she muttered, pinching my arm. You said it was your first time in a year. Did you have to be so intense? Ow, ow. Hey, I was making up for lost time. I was exhausted. We stayed in bed until noon. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Caleb Miller? I have Serena Sterling. If you want her to live, bring 20 million to the old Southside Foundry in 2 hours. He said both doplights. Fiend. Serena's been snatched. 20 million. Southside Foundry. I think it's Julian. Get the guys. I didn't wait. I grabbed my gear, black tactical clothes, a mask, and a few tools I'd learned to use during my year away. I drove like a madman. The foundry was a ruin. I saw 2 lookouts at the front. I slipped past them, entering through a gap in the rear wall. These weren't professionals. They were low-level thugs. There were about 20 of them on the ground floor. I hid in a pile of scrap and watched. A door opened, and Julian Vance walked out, shaking hands with a guy in a heavy gold chain. I knew it. I pulled the pin on a flashbang and tossed it into the center of the group. Boom! The room went white. I didn't wait. I moved through the smoke, my movements precise. I wasn't the soft businessman anymore. During my year away, Finn's family had helped me disappear into a private security training program. I had spent months training with former special forces. I had even done a stint as a consultant in some very dangerous parts of the world to earn my keep. I moved like a shadow, neutralizing thugs before they even saw me. Over there, someone shouted. Gunfire erupted. I dove behind a massive piece of industrial machinery. Ping, ping. Bullets sparked off the steel. I threw my last flashbang. CRRR-ACK. The screams began. While they were blind, I moved in with a combat knife. It was over in seconds. I left the leader and his 3 personal guard alive, but with bullet wounds in their legs so they couldn't run. I ran to the second floor. Serena. She was tied to a pillar. Caleb, are you okay? I'm Fine. Let's get you out of here. As we reached the ground floor, a Ford Raptor smashed through the foundry doors. I raised my weapon, but Finn's voice came over the speaker. Big brother, it's us. You're late, I yelled. The leader of the thugs was groaning on the floor. You can't do this. It's illegal. Finn stepped out of the truck and kicked the man. Illegal? You kidnapped my sister-in-law. You had guns. This isn't a crime scene. It's self-defense. And besides, who's going to tell on us? The thug pointed at Julian's retreating car. It was Julian Vance. He gave me 10 million to kill him and snatch her. I looked at Finn. Handle the cleanup. I'm taking Serena home. Back at the apartment, Serena insisted on checking me for injuries. Once she was sure I was okay, she leaned against me. Caleb, you've changed. You used to be so gentle. Where did you learn to do all that? I had some good teachers, I said, and I had a lot of reasons to get strong. I didn't tell her the full extent of it, the undercover work, the border skirmishes. It was a life I wanted to leave behind. Meanwhile, Julian was losing his mind at his office. Idiots. All of them. He started packing a bag. Get the car. We'll go to the border. Now, he knew he was dead if he stayed. But I was already a step ahead. I called a contact I'd made during my time abroad, a local power player named Commander Naywin. Naywin, I have a friend heading your way. Pick him up for me. I'll be there shortly to settle the bill. Ha. Consider it done, brother. 3 days later, I was in a humid jungle compound. Julian was pulled out of a cellar, smelling like a sewer and covered in bruises. Julian, remember me? I asked, smiling. Caleb, you're a monster. Welcome to the real world, Julian. You thought you could play with the big boys in Chicago? This is where the real games happen. I had my friends Chase and Jade with me. Chase was a former ranger, and Jade was a genius at intelligence gathering. They had followed me to make sure I didn't get myself killed. We have a lot to talk about, Julian, like how you've been selling Mayfield's proprietary tech to foreign competitors. That's not just corporate theft. That's a federal crime. We brought Julian back to the States under private escort. While he was being processed, Jade and Chase dug into Megan's files. The results were shocking. Julian hadn't just been a cheater. He was a corporate spy. He had been funneling Mayfield's assets into offshore accounts and selling trade secrets. There was no evidence Megan knew about the espionage, but she was definitely guilty of embezzlement to fund Julian's lifestyle. When the FBI moved in, Julian folded like a lawn chair. Megan was arrested at her villa. In the courtroom, Julian looked like a ghost as the charges were read. Megan, however, managed to avoid the treason charges. She was ordered to pay back the embezzled funds within 60 days. After the sentencing, she found me in the hallway. I know it's you. I know you're Caleb. And I asked, are you going to smash another vase over my head? She flushed. For the next week, she tried everything. She sent flowers. She sent food. She waited outside my office. I ignored it all. Finally, her assistant, Lily, managed to get a word with me. Mr. Thorne, Megan is in a bad way. Ever since you went into the river, she's been a wreck. She lost the baby. She regrets everything. So, I asked, I'm not her husband. Caleb Miller died in that river. I'm a different man now. Lily wouldn't stop. She screams your name in her sleep. She says she's sorry. She realized too late that she never loved Julian. Lily, tell her go back to work. Serena is tired of running her company for her. Megan didn't stop. She sat outside my office for 24 hours straight. She eventually collapsed and was taken to the hospital. Serena called me. Just go talk to her, Caleb. End it so we can move on with our lives. I went to the hospital. Megan looked like a shadow of herself. Why are you here? I asked. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she started crying. I had a dream. In the dream, I killed you. I hit you with a bowl, and you bled out on the floor. It felt so real. I realized that's the woman I was becoming. I'm telling you very seriously, I said, my voice cutting through her tears, cold and sharp. I will not forgive you. You don't deserve it. She looked up at me, eyes wide and trembling. You love Julian? That's your choice. But don't come crawling back to me now that he's gone. A person like you doesn't deserve to be loved. You deserve to die alone. I leaned in closer, my expression hardening. I have no intention of letting you smash another bowl over my head and watching my life bleed out while you walk out the door to find her lover. Never. Now, I'll get the hell out of here. I didn't wait for her response. I turned toward the door and barked, Lucas, where the hell are you? Get this woman out of my sight. Lucas rushed in immediately, signaled 2 security guards, and physically escorted a sobbing Megan out of the office. She was dumped outside the main entrance, where she sat on the pavement for hours, broken. She eventually collapsed again and was taken back to the hospital. While there, she fell into a deep, feverish sleep. She dreamed of the life she had lived before, the one where I actually died. She saw herself standing over my body, watching the blood pool on the floor, and felt the chilling indifference she had once possessed. When she woke, she was haunted by the realization that in 2 lifetimes, she had been the villain of my story. 1 month later, Serena and I were married. It was a massive event. As we exchanged rings, I thought I saw a woman standing in the far back, crying silently before disappearing into the shadows. My phone buzzed later that night. I am sorry. Be happy. Goodbye, my love. A year later, Serena gave me a son. I held him and cried for an hour. My friends teased me, but I didn't care. 2 lifetimes of pain had finally led to this moment of pure, untainted joy. 5 years later, I was holding my 2-year-old daughter in our garden. Lily told me Megan had moved to a small town in the Appalachians to work for a nonprofit school. She never remarried. She had sold her remaining assets and used the money to fund the education of children from broken backgrounds. She found her peace in helping those who, like her, had been discarded by the world. I looked at my family, then out at the Chicago skyline. The past was a closed book, its pages heavy with lessons, but no longer capable of hurting me. Goodbye, Megan, I whispered to the wind. We're even now. Megan's perspective. I thought Julian was the spark I needed. He was young, exciting, and he knew exactly how to make me feel powerful. I knew I was hurting Caleb, but I told myself he was boring, that he was holding me back. Then I saw him fall into that river. My heart broke in that instant. I spent weeks on that riverbank until I lost my baby and nearly my mind. When he came back as Caleb Thorne, I was overjoyed. I thought I could win him back. But then I saw him with Serena. I saw the way he looked at her, the way he used to look at me, with total, unreserved devotion. I realized then that I hadn't just lost a husband. I had lost my soul. I had a dream where I killed him, and when I woke up, I knew that even if he was alive, the version of him that loved me was dead. I had murdered that man long before he ever hit the water. I gave him the company. It was his anyway. He was the architect of our success while I was just the face of it. Now, I'm in a small schoolhouse, teaching kids how to read. It's the only way I can live with myself, by trying to save some other child from becoming the monster I was. I hope you're happy, Caleb. I'll always love you. Story complete.